Musyoka's political stature appears to have moved just a step higher, even with that visit. Do you agree, Nick, that this perhaps was the most politically consequential visit to that gravesite?
Fred, you know, I only sympathize with our brother Brian from UDA because he's lost of words, because day by day he sees his boss points, bonga points, going down. Because if he's here now at this point of time, trying and persuading Kenyans that it is the right time to discuss employment, yet they have...
And electricity.
And electricity. we are wondering. Anyway, that's beside the point. Well, one thing I have to address, Kalonzo's visit to Opoda, as my good friend and brother Ken Babu has briefed me this morning, was very important. Because one, when Kalonzo was away in UK, he immediately received a call that his companion, his comrade, his brother has fallen. He immediately, because he was on a trip to rally the diaspora people in UK for support, he cancels that tour and comes back home to mourn his good friend. But when he comes home, it is in a very sad state that the government of the day, the state, and we saw it on live television that Kalonzo walked into Nyayo Stadium, yet he was denied an opportunity to speak to people. That is how this petty this government is. Yet our good friend wants to convince us about employment, yet when we are mourning our fallen hero. So for Kalonzo to walk in Opoda Farm yesterday, we clearly see that Kalonzo supported Raila in 2012. Kalonzo supported Raila in 2017. Kalonzo went down as a man, decided to take a chief minister position rather than a deputy president. You cannot compare this to any level of political allegations that people are saying, Fred. But that is beside the point. I see Kalonzo as a good man. I see Kalonzo as a friend. I see Kalonzo as a brother. And this will solidify the relationship between Kambas and Luos. Because the Luos know that for 3 times, the Kamba nation has supported their hero.
All right. And this comes the same week we've seen 2 newspaper headlines talking about the possibility of a Kalonzo candidature come 2027 supported by the entire united opposition. That was on the front page of the Star, I think, earlier this week. That visit yesterday, which initially had been indicated it would be the united opposition luminaries going to Bondo, now we see Kalonzo and his team from Ukambani region. That is significant. Do you think that, yes, there could be some truth to those headlines?
Sure, it is actually very truthful. And Kalonzo's visit to Opoda Farm was very significant. It was also very significant to me. And when I saw Kalonzo donned with the Jago Green attire, of course was very significant because such an attire was donned by Fidel Castro. And Fidel Castro and Castro, it is very, of course, symbolic. And he went to Opoda Farm, you know, chanting Joey, Joey.
You went to both, because Opoda Farm is the home of Raila Odinga, where the widow is, but you also went to Kango Kajaramogi, where the gravesite is.
The gravesite is, yeah. And his chant of Joey, Joey, it is a Luo, of course, honor of a great leader. And his visitation and how he was received by the Luo leaders and also the Luo nation was very, of course, symbolic to the nations. At such a time when the Luo nation is, of course, having now to plan the secession, of course, try to get in their way with new alliances, and also now to forge their way as an ODM. And I'm lucky that I interacted with Raila Amolo Odinga and we dined with him, and I was introduced, and I'm so grateful to Kamau Raila. He introduced me to Baba one night at Karen, and when Baba, we talked with Baba, and he was so happy that I was talking with a great man, of course of a great mind from Udaya, and was so happy that, and he was very cordial when about his relationship with Mwai Kibaki. In fact, he noted that since he started working with the government, it is the government of Mwai Kibaki that it was so significant to him. And it is so much also significant to me when I see such kind of a man like Kalonzo, of course, having such a delegation, and also the reception that was made, and also how the Luo or the Kisumu and Nyanza leadership received Kalonzo. It has some positivity, and of course it has given the visibility of Kalonzo, not just from Kabani politics, but also in the Luo nation politics. It is a time that Kalonzo, and I echo the words of Kamau Mweha, that now Baba taught you, and Baba gave us, of course, what we demanded. And now it is time now the Kaban nation should show us what they have. And now they have Kalonzo. And in the United Opposition, of course, Kalonzo is part of the principals. We have Rigiji, we have Matiangi, and we have the Natebea and the Kena Eugene. And Kalonzo is one of the principals who have an upper hand, because he's one of the person who have a support base in Ukabani, and he has very great and cordial friendship. And his sacrifice to Raila Odinga, of course, to those years, of course, it is very significant, and it cannot be watered down. His efforts cannot be watered down. He's a man who stood firm with Baba Raila Odinga. And Baba Raila Odinga was a champion of social democracy. He's a champion of, he was a great player of politics of rural development, which I think also Kalonzo also identified himself with those kind of a model of social democracy, and of course politics of rural democracy. Unlike the Kenya Kwanza regime today, that is an extreme capitalist that only interested with, of course, businesses rather than the welfare of the people, because the welfare of the people matters most. And that's why, as the National People's Guard, we are advocating that it is the people that matter. Because when we leave the people at their own, of course, people, and the people, they are depending on their own government, of course, to empower them. And empowering them is not doing this stomach empowerment that they are doing. Empowering people, it is trying to get into what they are doing. If there is a farmer, you get into the typical business of farming. What is he doing? A tea farmer, trying to streamline such kind of a policy so that that farmer gets impact onto his, and gets a leverage into his effort. So Kalonzo Musyoka visitation to Luo nation was so significant, and it is high time that the Luo, Nyanza, and the ODM, of course, comes together. And it is not enough to say that no one can fit to Baba's shoe. Of course, Baba made a family, and that family comes together to fill the shoe of Baba Raila Odinga. Okay. I'm a silent mentee of Raila Amolo Odinga, and his politics lingers into my mind and to my heart, that it is the people matter. It is the people matter. And Kalonzo yesterday said that I have not just come to give my condolences, that I have also come to, of course, honor the father of Maandamano. And the father of Maandamano did not just tell us, he taught us. He taught us how.
Thank you, Castro. Thank you, Castro.